รวงศ์หรืออาจารย์มินนี่ค่ะอาจารย์เป็นหัวหน้าโครงการ V-Talk นะคะสำหรับวันนี้โครงการ V-Talk ของเราอยากจะพานักศึกษามาทำความรู้จักอาจารย์ชาวต่างชาติที่ทำงานที่คณะของเรานะคะก็คืออาจารย์ Bavo Stevens ค่ะนักศึกษาหลายๆคนอาจจะเคยเห็นอาจารย์มาแล้วนะคะแต่ว่ายังไม่รู้จักอาจารย์แล้วก็ไม่ทราบด้วยว่าอาจารย์ท่านยินดีที่จะช่วยในการพัฒนาทักษะภาษาอังกฤษของนักศึกษาของเรานะคะและวันนี้เรามาทำความรู้จักกับอาจารย์ Bavo ด้วยกันค่ะ I would say that it's not an interview but we just talk we will go through this question together like to get to know you better Bavo
Sure, no problem.
Thank you. So let's start with the first question. Please tell us about yourself.
And as you and the students might have guessed, I'm a lecturer here at the Faculty of Political Science.
Yes.
But since the start of this month, I'm also a PhD student at McGill University in Montreal, Canada.
Congratulations on the beginning of your PhD
Thank
journey.
you.
And the next question is that how long have you been working here and why are you interested in working in Thailand?
Oh, that's a good question. So I guess I've been here about 2 years. So next month it will have been 2 years.
Wow.
The reason why I became interested in Thailand, well, when I was a college student, so a university student,
Yes.
my parents were living in Thailand at the time. So I got to visit them quite often. I got to learn a lot more about Thai history and Thai culture, and that's what led to my interest in Thailand.
That's why you are here.
Exactly.
Yeah. And how can you help our students to improve their English competency level?
The way for me to help our students is mostly through practice. So I think I'm a useful resource for people who want to practice English, try talking about new topics. In the past, I've helped students prepare for scholarship exams, scholarship interviews, but also job interviews, and I've done normal sort of conversations with students a lot. I think if you want to practice speaking, I'm the best resource for that. Learning grammar, a bit more difficult for me. I can try, but I prefer just practicing speaking or reading, things like that.
That is great because in my opinion, learning English in just the classroom is not enough. You got to practice, just do it over and over.
Yeah, so I recently read an article for my PhD course actually, which talked about something called the spacing effect, which basically means that in order to learn something, you need to space when you study and how much you study. So doing something in one long go is not going to be helpful because even though you might study very hard, you will forget a lot. So you need to space things out over time, and it's only then that you really start to remember and to understand what you're talking about.
Wow, so interesting. The next question is that what are the ways for our students to get in touch with you, Bavo?
So the easiest way to get in touch with me is by email. So my email is bavo.s@ubu.ac.th, but I'm sure my students will be able to read it as part of the video calls. Another way you can also get in touch with me is by sending me a message on Facebook. So I don't usually accept student friend requests on Facebook, but I will always respond to a message from a student on Facebook. For emails, I try to respond in less than 2 days, but sometimes it can be a little bit difficult because I'm busy sometimes too.
So it can be concluded that you have two communication channels for us. The first one and like the most preferred one is by email.
Yes.
Another way is via the Facebook Messenger or inbox message.
And I guess one thing to add to that is students don't need to worry about writing me a correct or proper email. As long as I understand that you want to meet and when you want to meet, that's fine. Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The next is quite an important question for us today. Many Thai students have difficulties in speaking English because of the fear of making mistakes. How do you think about this?
Well, I think with anything you learn, but especially languages, mistakes are a big part of it. The only way you'll know that you're not saying something correctly is by making mistakes. I'm learning Thai at the moment, so I definitely understand the fear of making mistakes. You want to make sure people understand you well, but when you make mistakes, it can be a little bit more difficult, or it can even be a little bit scary. But I think it's best to try and not be scared, not to worry too much about making mistakes. Instead, try to focus on being understood. So even when you don't say something correctly, that other people understand you. So let me give you a quick example. The right sentence is, I like to play football. But if a student tells me play football like, it's not grammatically correct, but I understand what you're trying to say. And I think in language, that's the most important thing, is the other person understands what you say.
Like, you can send the message that you have an effort to send to the other one.
Exactly. And over time, by talking with people, listening, reading, you'll learn not to make those mistakes. But whenever you learn something new, you will always learn mistakes the first time.
Okay. Wow, we have reached the last question. Bavo, have you ever made a big mistake in your life? If so, what have you learned from your mistake in the past?
Well, let's stick with language mistakes as opposed to other mistakes. So like I just mentioned, I'm learning Thai at the moment. I think one of the very first classes, I was learning how to talk about what my parents do. And so I misunderstood a word, the word for sport in Thai, which is kila, right?
Yes.
So I was explaining that my mom used to teach sports. That was her job. She was a sports teacher. So I wanted to say คุณแม่สอนกีฬา
Yeah.
But I made a mistake with the word kila. Instead of saying kila, I said kali.
Oh.
So I told my Thai teacher that คุณแม่สอน kali, which obviously has a very different meaning.
Yes.
But good example of a mistake that you end up making. But now it's a funny joke I have with my friends.
Okay, thank you very much. It's so nice talking with you today, Bavo. And I feel like you are very approachable.
Thank you.
For
Thank
our
you.
students. So we got to I would like to convey my gratitude that as a faculty members, we are happy to have you here to help us to improve their English competency and be a fantastic part of our team. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
ขอบคุณค่ะ
ขอบคุณมากครับ